Hey guys, the purpose of this video is just to kind of review everything that we've learned about lines. And when you walk out of algebra, this is something you should feel pretty comfortable with. Linear functions is something you should have down really, really well. So just to kind of review, here's some of the basics. First off, let's talk about linear equations. So we all know linear means lines, and if I'm talking about an equation of a line, we usually talk about y equals mx plus b. Sometimes in algebra we call it the rule for the line, the rule of the equation, same thing. So y equals mx plus b is a nice rule because it's easy to work with. It basically focuses on two different things, m, which is your slope or your growth, and on a graph, what that's going to look like is your growth triangle. It's the delta y, delta x. It's the measurement of what we call rise and run. So slope we can find from a graph real easily. And then the other really important component is looking at the b, which is your y-intercept. And that is where the line crosses on the y-axis. And that's your b. So if you can figure out m and you can figure out b, you know your growth and you know your y-intercept, then you can really write an equation of a line pretty easily. Parallel lines are when you have two lines that never intersect, like in the picture below. And if I'm going fast, pause the video and slow it down and write some of this down. So parallel lines, they never cross, and they have the same slope, which is a very important note. Put a big star by that one. If two lines are never going to cross, their growth numbers, their slope numbers are going to be the same. And the only thing really to kind of emphasize that's different about them is their y-intercepts. They have different starting y-intercepts. So parallel line example problem. Let's look at a problem that would involve parallel lines. So here's your example. Write an equation of a line passing through the point 3, negative 5, and parallel to y equals negative 2x plus 5. Why don't you pause the video and give this problem a try? I'll read it to you one more time here. Write an equation of a line passing through the point 3, negative 5, and parallel to y equals negative 2x plus 5. Give it a try. Pause the video and see if you get this one right. Okay, so here's how you do this one. Y equals negative 2x plus 5 has a negative 2 slope. And we know parallel lines have the same slope. So the next equation of my other line has to have that same setup. Y equals negative 2x plus b. We got to solve for the b. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take x and y and we are going to replace them with the point 3, negative 5. Negative 5 is the y value, 3 is the x value. We're going to substitute those values in, and we're going to solve for b. So negative 5 equals negative 6 plus b. We'll add the 6 over, and b equals 1. Once we figure out what b equals, we can write our equation. Our equation of our parallel line is y equals negative 2x plus 1. Now you could raise this problem up to being a level 4 by finding the answer and then going in and graphing the two lines. Graphing the y equals negative 2x plus 5 and the y equals negative 2x plus 1 and looking at both of them and showing that they're parallel, basically. That would be your level 4. Okay, so to follow up parallel, let's talk about perpendicular. Perpendicular is when you have two lines, but they do cross each other, and very specifically, they cross at what we call a 90-degree angle. That's why they're called perpendicular. The really important thing to emphasize here is the slopes of the two lines are completely opposite of each other. We call them reciprocal slopes because one is positive, one is negative, and the growth number is actually opposite of each other as well. So a perpendicular example would be something like this. Write an equation of a line perpendicular to y equals 3x plus 5 with a y-intercept of 2. So write an equation of a line perpendicular to y equals 3x plus 5 with a y-intercept of 2. Again, pause the video and give this a try and see if you get it right. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. there's our equation, y equals 3x plus 5. Well, let's look at the growth number. The growth is 3. That means rise over run is 3 over 1. It's going up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1 on the graph. So we need a perpendicular line, which is going to have opposite slope. So now we're going to flip that slope and change the sign so it's negative instead of positive. So it's going to be a new slope of negative 1/3. Then I can write my equation, y equals negative 1/3 x plus 2. The plus 2, they pretty much told me. They told me the y-intercept, so I didn't have to solve for it or do anything too hard. And that is my equation. And again, a level 4 on this problem would be to go one step farther and graph the two lines and show that they're parallel. That would be your extra step. All right, so let's talk about writing an equation of a line just in general. So here's an example, very typical algebra problem. It says write an equation of a line with a slope of 1/2 and passing through 8, -2. Like all the other problems, I would pause it and see if you can do this, because this is a review, so I'm hoping you remember how to do this. Okay, so here's your work. We have the slope, it's 1/2. So we know the equation is y equals 1/2 x plus b. We just got to solve for the plus b with the point they gave us. So I'm going to take x and y, and I'm going to substitute in the 8, -2, and I'm going to solve for b. And I'm going to do it as carefully as I can. So -2 is going to equal 8/2 plus b, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I'm going to subtract the 4 over and get -6. Now that's not my final answer. I'm going to be careful, and I'm going to actually write the equation of the line. So it's y equals 1/2 x minus 6. And that's my final answer. Okay, so let's look at another one. That's just one example that I showed you, but there's different types. So here's another type. Write an equation of a line passing through -313 and 2, -7. So now they're giving you two different points, and you have to write an equation passing through them. So we're going to start by finding the slope, because they did not give us the slope. So we're going to use delta y, delta x, use the formula. Delta y means the change in the y values. So I'm going to take the y numbers, I'm going to subtract them. So the y numbers are -7 and 13. I'm going to subtract those. And I'm also going to find delta x, the change in x's, by subtracting the x values. And that's going to clean up to -25, which is going to clean up just a little bit more to -4. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Once I track down that number, I have my slope number, and things are going to get easier. So now I'm going to write y equals -4x plus b, and I'm going to solve for the plus b by, again, substituting in for x and y. This time, you kind of get to choose. Oops, let me fix that here for a sec. You kind of get to choose just because you can plug in the -313, or you can plug in the 2, -7. And in my example, I'm plugging in the 2, -7, but you could have plugged in the -3 and 13. You're going to get the right answer either way. You're going to solve for the plus b. In this case, I have to add the 8 over, and I get b equals 1. And then you're going to write your equation. Y equals -4x plus 1. Alright, so that's the final answer on that one. Let's look at one more thing. Standard form. Standard form is another way of writing a linear equation. So some linear equations are in this form, and it's different than y equals mx plus b. Here's a standard form problem. 6x plus 3y equals 12. It looks like ax plus by equals c. A, b, and c are numbers. So what we're going to do is rearrange it and make it more convenient. Standard form is not my favorite. Some people really like it. I do not, but that's just me. I'm going to solve for y. I'm going to rearrange this problem. I'm going to move the 6x over to the other side, make it a -6x, and then to change it from a 3y to just being a y equals, I'm going to have to go in there and divide by 3. So I'll divide by 3 on both sides, and -6 divided by 3 is 2x, -2x, and 12 divided by 3 is 4, so I get y equals -2x plus 4. And now I've rearranged it, and it's in my y equals mx plus b form. Alright, so that's kind of just a linear review for you. It was fast, it was a quick review, but that's some of the basics that when you walk out of algebra, like I said, you should just kind of know it. Like, lines should be easy for you. You should be able to write equations and graph them and solve for them pretty quickly. All right, I hope that helps.